All right, everyone. I am here with Lindsay. Lindsay started in my body transformation blueprint program back in this past December, and we're just going to kind of go through and talk out her progress and her time in the program. So, welcome, Lindsay.
Thanks,
Um,
Ricky.
so before we go over these couple questions, why don't you just quickly explain, or I guess like on a scale of 1 to 10, your experience with one, lifting, and two, nutrition, because obviously it's a big part of the program. How much experience did you have with this before you came into the program?
Is one like no experience
As
intense?
one would be no experience or very
Okay,
little. 1 to 3 is very little experience.
okay. Yeah, I mean for lifting, I would say probably like a one or a two. I know going into this program, I talked with you, Ricky, about my only experience was like high school gym class of lifting, so it was something I was interested in, but really didn't know how to do. Nutrition probably like a three, like maybe just a little bit more familiar with like how calories and macros and all of that works, but still pretty unfamiliar.
Gotcha. Cool. So little, you weren't a pro coming in, which is no problem. But as you'll see, as we'll go over in a second, you got a lot of progress done, got it done. So let's first thing, let's go over. So what were like the main things that you were struggling with before joining this program, both from a lifting and nutrition standpoint?
Yeah, so I mean, the main reason I had kind of reached out in the first place was, I am getting married in June, and so back in December, I was thinking about, I wasn't feeling as good with my body and knew that I had gained weight and really was kind of struggling with identifying what was like the cause of that. And then, with our conversations and like digging into that more, realizing, that I really didn't have an idea of like what I was eating, or, I wouldn't like eat all day with my busy job and then would get home and was
Mhm.
like, oh, I'm really not eating that much. And then through learning how to track everything was like, oh gosh, like I really, didn't have a good idea of this, and like all tracking that really opened my eyes to what I was eating. And in terms of like, lifting and like an exercise standpoint, again, I was really unfamiliar with going into lifting with this. And so I really didn't have any experience, wasn't doing that. Was mostly just doing cardio if I was working out. But
Mhm.
again, I think through our conversations, it kind of came to light that I really wasn't holding myself accountable, and I really didn't have like the tools to, be able to be successful and, be able to know where I was at.
Yep. Great. And I'm glad you touched on both those because that's obviously a lot of people's problem, and that's the main things that we lock down and get really good at during the program. So I guess you can just quickly explain like what are some things that I helped you implement from both a workout and nutrition standpoint that like really helped you make progress.
Yeah, I mean, really everything, but I'll try to, I guess, give some specifics. But, I mean, like just learning like what macros are, because I didn't know that going in, and like how is that calculated, and then how do you go about tracking that, so I think that whole process was really helpful. Like being able to like watch the different like videos that you created to learn more about that, and then to actually be able to implement that into tracking, like learning the importance of protein, and like managing carbs
Yep.
and fats. um and then did you also ask about the training standpoint? I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
forgot.
I mean, yeah. So that was nutrition, I guess.
Okay.
What? Yeah. So what did we implement as far as well, we started training, but
Yeah,
I guess
yeah,
what did
starting
we
training
implement from
was.
a workout standpoint? Yep.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, like, again, I felt like super uncomfortable, and I'm sure you got like some text from me about just like I don't know where this is, but all
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
videos and things in the app were super helpful, especially for somebody like me who hadn't been in a weight room in like 10 years since high school or something. So I mean, all of that was super helpful, and just like learning like what muscles is this training, and like why are we doing this too. and just kind of like learning how all of those things will collectively, make me stronger and will like help me to make that progress.
Yes, exactly. Yep. And yeah, and you did a great job as far as like of basically applying everything or implementing everything that I was teaching you, which is why you did amazing. So let's cycle right into, I guess, what were the results as far as the progress we made over the couple months together in the program, both from like,
Yes.
physical results and like, what did you learn type deal?
Yeah, I mean, so physical results, I've lost almost like 17 pounds as of
Mhm.
like this week. So,
Heck yeah.
yeah. But I mean, I guess more importantly than that, like I feel like the dress I'm wearing today, you can kind of see my muscles here. So
I
it's
know.
kind of funny.
I see those delts popping out, looking
Yeah,
looking
yeah.
good.
So I mean, like from just I guess like a physical standpoint, like and I guess that I was not the best, I'll be honest, with like tracking progress pictures. And I wish I would have been a little bit better about that. But and I know this is something we talked about too, about just being able to see that change over time. And that sometimes when you're looking in the mirror at yourself every day, it's kind of hard to see that progress. But like
Mhm.
actually being able to see that and like even have other people tell me too that like you look good, you look like you look leaner, like you look like you have more muscle. I'll be like holding my muscle up to like one of my family members or something and be like, feel my muscle here, like I didn't have this
Yeah.
before. And I mean, I think just like overall, like taking away the knowledge that I'm able to be able to do this now, and still have guidance with the PR fitness app and like with my workouts and like with the resources and knowledge I know. I think has like set me up really well to be successful and say like, no, I know what I need to do now. Like I need to hold myself accountable by continuing to do these things to be able to see that progress.
Yep, exactly. And that kind of just spins us back to, the first question I had as far as like what you're struggling with. And now it's like, okay, I understand what I need to be doing in the gym. I now understand how I need to eat. What that actually
Mhm.
looks like for me to get to my goal. And now the picture is much clearer, which is exactly what this program's all about. So I'm glad you touched on that. So last question I have. So what would you say? What would you say to someone that's in your position, you know, back in December? Maybe someone that's struggling with not knowing what to do in the gym. They're struggling, not sure what they want to eat, and they're just on the fence as far as joining this program. What would you tell them?
I mean, I would say like absolutely do it. I mean, I think it's kind of scary, and I think I was definitely on the fence too about like, oh, maybe I can figure this out and I just need to do these things. And the more I think I learned from this program, I was like no, I don't think I would be able to figure this out because I wasn't an expert and I didn't know what macros were and I didn't know how to track them and I really didn't know like, what to eat and I didn't know what to do in the gym. And I think, so I would just say like really go for it. And I think everything that you have set up in this program in terms, from a nutrition and, training standpoint, is really going to set you up to be successful and, to know those steps that you need to do even after you're done with the program, because I feel so much more confident than I did like going into this about knowing what to do. And even from just like a confidence standpoint too, that I do know what to do. And if I do feel like I'm falling off track, I know that I have like the tools and the resources that I need to like to be able to do that.
Yes, exactly. And yep, and I was and just to clarify, I'm not even sure. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think you missed any more than two workouts, maybe, if that. You might have not
Yeah,
missed
I don't
any. There might have been a day where you were sick or something, but
yeah, yeah.
for the most part, you implemented everything. We got all the workouts done. Obviously now like the learning curve of learning nutrition side. Um,
Mhm.
but correct me if you think wrong, but like I think, do you feel now like from the outside looking in back in December, like learning nutrition was probably like kind of stressful, learning thinking about learning the how to train might be a little bit stressful, but like as you got into the program and as we started learning, that it's actually a lot more simple than what you thought?
Oh yeah,
Agree
absolutely.
with
Yeah.
that.
I mean, I think, I think I was more, um, I don't want to say like, I guess like nervous or scared, about like the workout side and just feeling really uncomfortable going into the gym. But I think like within probably a week, like I was like, I
Hmm.
know what I'm doing, and like felt a lot more confident. I think the nutrition was definitely a learning curve at first, and being like, how can I possibly get this much protein? And I think, it's continuing to be like a learning curve as you have to learn how to manage like busy weeks and like
Yep.
certain events that you might have going on and things like that. But I feel a lot more like confident, and it's not as scary, I guess, like once I feel like I've learned those things and said like, okay, I did get off track and I had a couple off days, but like I know what I need to do now to get back on track. So I think, like um don't psych yourself out of it. Like, it is definitely going to be a learning curve, and it can be kind of scary at first. But I think like overall, once you learn that process, it becomes really simple. And once you like learn to build it into your routine, I think it just becomes like second nature.
Yep. Exactly. Exactly. Well, thank you so much, and great work in the program. And you're just the perfect example of being motivated. And what happens when you're motivated and you learn how to train, you learn how to eat, great things happen. So thank you again, Lindsay, and thank you guys for watching.